Alright, how you doing everybody? It's Zuko, thanks for stopping by, and we have a massive event to go over. We are talking about, of course, Wonder Festival 2025 Summer, aka Gacha Fest. There are so many figures at this event, and I'm going to go through as many as possible. Normally I'd be using Moepop's website to go through all of these announcements, but they haven't updated their site yet completely. Some of it's done, but I'm doing this on Monday morning, so, you know, just trying to get this out as soon as possible. But yeah, let's get into it. Really don't need to waste any more time. First up is a figure from Katakawa of Alia, the 15th anniversary version, literally leaping out of this photo frame with like a constellation behind her of some sort. I'm not familiar with the arts this is based on, but she looks very cute. It's a dynamically set up figure. The aquatic wings, I'm not really sure what that's about, but I do like their design. Unfortunate that she is lifted by that big acrylic rod in the front, considering both her feet and probably the dress are attached to that frame as well. But, I mean, what can you do? Otherwise, it does look pretty good. Another figure from Katakawa, this is Archer Durga from Fate Grand Order. She's got tons of hair, her outfit is kind of reminiscent of a goddess. I like her snake companion around her neck, that's very cute. I think you could see it a little bit better here. And her weapons are really neat. I like the helix design in the middle of them. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be water, maybe blood perhaps? I don't remember what the art card looked like for this character, unfortunately. But whatever they're doing down there, the liquid is rippling, which looks quite nice as well. More Katakawa, this is the ISA Eri Love Live Days 5th anniversary version in her celebratory dress. Lots of pastel colors, even the bouquet is pastel. Very vibrant yellow for her hair though. Maybe a little bit too vibrant if you ask me, but looks cute nonetheless. They actually finally gave us this sculpt, the Raftalia Vassal Hammer. Massive mallet looking like Amy Rose. Got some flames underneath her feet, which looks pretty cool. I'm surprised there's no additional support anywhere to be seen on this figure. It's all rather seamless in terms of the composition, which is a huge plus in my opinion. Next up is a figure of Sakurajima Mai, the traditional Chinese clothing version, which is set up in a pretty unique way for a figure wearing this type of outfit, because she's actually kneeling down into this pond surrounded by the lotus flowers, which looks very nice. I like this outfit quite a bit, and the colors. I do feel they should have toned down the rippling of the water a little bit. Makes sense around the hand and like her knees, but I feel like every single circle here should not be doing that. Makes it a little bit less believable in my opinion. Next up is a figure of Rysalind Stout from the 3rd Ryza game. I believe this is actually based off the cover art. It looks extremely familiar to me, but truthfully, I have not played any of these games yet. I'm just a Ryza appreciator. She's sitting down on this rock formation, comes with her staff, got the flag billowing in the breeze. Her outfit seems to have like all the little bells and whistles and pouches you would hope her outfit would come with. And yeah, like all the other Ryza figures, got a very pretty face and some rather thick thighs. Moving on was a really simple little negligee figure of Eris. I think pink is a great color for her, and I like that the negligee gets a little bit translucent around her stomach, but her hair really needs some shading. I think this figure overall looks a little bit too simplistic for what is likely going to cost around 20,000 yen or so. Alright, we're jumping over to Apex Toys. They had so many figures at this event. There must have been like 50, and I'm not even trying to exaggerate. That number might be wrong, but holy shit, they came prepared. First up are a few announcements from them though. We have the Cheshire wedding style figure, gotta show off those legs of course. We have the Friedrich Summer Nights Intimacy. This outfit looks fantastic on her, can't wait to see how that one looks. And then a figure of Ager, the one-on-one leisure time. Looking as sexy as ever, though I do think I have a bit of a weakness towards Ager. I just really like her design, all her artwork, all her figures. Always grab my attention. Moving on though, we do have a couple of Blue Archive announcements as well. Hifumi is getting a scale figure alongside Shiroko Terror, the Memorial Lobby illustration version, and she looks so goddamn pretty in this artwork. Can't wait to see how this figure looks as well. Next up from Apex was a figure of Ilia, the pajama version. Have to imagine this is the exact artwork they're going for. Seems very specific if you ask me. But now we're going to jump back to Katakawa with two figures from Eva, the Rei and Asuka school uniform figures. These seem very early in production. Not gonna criticize how they're looking so far, but I do think it's nice that we're getting some scale figures of them wearing the school uniforms, because we haven't really seen something like this in quite some time, unless I'm mistaken. I feel like I'm right, though. Jumping back to Apex Toys, this is why this video is gonna be a little messy, is a figure of Yumiya from Atelier Yumiya, of course. And I think this one has a ton of potential, assuming they're basing the figure off this artwork. All this spiritual energy rising from the ground alongside the music notes circling her. Maybe this little guy around her is going to join the figure as well. I don't know. Are we getting the forest setting? I don't know, but there's a lot here that I think would look gorgeous in figure form. So I hope this is what they're going for. Brown Dust 2 is getting a figure of Wilhelmina, the Water Park Queen version, in this very thin dress, including her Stanley Cup, of course. Hopefully didn't pay the scalper prices for that one. The only thing I know about this character is that one GIF or video that went around of her adjusting her pants, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to look it up. It's a little much though. This game is kind of ridiculous in what they'll show. Here's Cheshire from Azur Lane, the Zozo Town illustration version, so a clothing collaboration figure. They made one for New Jersey, I believe. Thought it looked very good, and I think this one does too. Though this outfit choice is a little, I don't know, this mix of the biker jacket and the very formal dress, and then the garter belt, almost like the negligee style leggings under the boots. It's a little confusing to me. I do think she's killing it, but it's also I don't really get it. I feel like they're trying a little hard with this outfit. Though her face, very pretty. Love the highlights in her hair too, and all the gloss in her outfit is very, very eye-catching. Here's a figure of Strasbourg, the Fairy of the Race Circuit from Azur Lane. Striking a bit of a pose here, really showing off her legs, showing off her butt, showing off the side boob. Very voluptuous character. What's really catching my eye is this iridescent shine in the gloss of her sleeves. I don't know if that's anywhere else in the figure, but I really like how they did her sleeves. And there's some really nice gradation on the inside of her hair. We're going from blue to red, and then her black hair is on top of that. Maybe a very dark blue, I can't really tell. But yeah, she looks great. Really like her eye color too. Very pretty character. This one is very straight to the point. The Kashino Fresh and Sweet version. Right on the sign there. Milk with the canister overflowing with milk. They've produced too much. I mean, the sign is a little redundant. I think I can gather where they're getting the milk from. But yeah, we also had a figure of Implacable, Shepherd of the Lost. Had a bit of a spill here. Coffee all over the floor. Showing off her legs. They look so long, but also her top is so translucent. I don't know if that also got wet along the way, but it does show off her bra, which has a really frilly, lacy design to it. Doesn't really seem too bothered to have fallen down though. Maybe that's just her character type. Can't really tell. Jumping back once again to Katakawa, here's a figure of Sorimachi Yuki, the bunny dress version, who has so much hair. This hair is voluminous. It's reaching the floor. It's curling up down there. It's draping over her arms too. And the bunny suit itself has its own unique flourishes, right? This web cage thing off to the side. Not exactly sure what you would call that, but it does stand out to me. Also has a belt around her thigh. Can't tell if she's supposed to be wearing leggings. I guess we'll find out when this figure is painted. And she's also holding daggers, I think. You can't see the back of this figure, but considering the name of the series, that would make sense to me. We also got a figure of Sylphie, a very normal, non-suggestive figure from the series. Doesn't happen very often, and she looks pretty good. I like this one, though I guess, the paint doesn't really stand out to me yet. Maybe the other photos, when it goes up for pre-order, will look a little bit better. I think eventually this will get a little bit more organized, but let's continue. We got a sexy nurse figure from Apex Toys, Enya, the Exuvia Kiss Therapy version from Snowbreak. Starting to see a little bit more figures from this series. We had a figure from Azur Lane of Devonshire, Sadistic Demon. Okay, you have my attention. I do like her cape, as well as her leggings. Doesn't really seem like she's wearing too much else, but I'm not gonna complain about that. Her tail is wrapping around the Manju, who's actually carrying a little missile. That's cute. But yeah, she's also reaching out to you a little bit. in this somewhat suggestive posing. Not bad, I like her design. Here is the Musashi wedding figure. This one's actually ridiculous. One, it's humongous. This figure is going to take up so much fucking space. And two, and I should have mentioned this as the first point, her butt is just completely out there. I know New Jersey's figure kind of had that too, but the cheeks are like right there. It's like not even subtle about it. But you know what? This is what the Azur Lane fans want. And Musashi, one of the prettier characters in my opinion. Hell, even her chest does not look like it's covered up that much. That looks very thin up there, but this is the only photo I have currently. But yeah, outside of those charm points, there's certainly a lot to this sculpt. Her tails are so fluffy and huge. This dress, as it drapes down the bottom of the base, down the walkway over the manju, very cute. I like how he's poking out there. I like that they've incorporated the bouquet onto her katana. That's pretty unique. And then I guess the only thing left to wonder is what the colors are going to look like. I'm assuming it'll be like a white dress alongside the black tails and hair. So the contrast should be pretty effective here. But yeah, can't wait to see what that one looks like. Here's another very impressive looking figure from Apex Toys. It's Alsace from Azur Lane. I don't really understand like thematically what this figure is about. There's a massive cross, which seems to be her weapon of choice, smashing into the ground, but the wing design is kind of throwing me off. I don't really know if this is supposed to be like angelic or more gothic. I don't know this character. I could tell you she's barely covering her chest though. It's impressive and also looks huge. I would not be surprised if this is at least like 400 millimeters when they put it up for pre-order. Back to Katakawa, they had an announcement for the Alia wedding dress version. Seems like she's finally getting a decent amount of scale figures, which only took like a year or two, but at least it's happening, right? We also had the Kotobukiya 1/4 scale Anis sparkling summer version. And yeah, the sculpt's looking great so far. A lot of volume captured in the sculpt, a lot of nice back detail for sure. I think what would be a really nice touch is if they tried to like apply a sandiness to her skin. Like just some like little particles of sand like on her back, maybe her arm, the feet. I think that would look really nice at the 1/4 scale. Maybe a little bit too much work to ask, but you know, a guy can dream. Going back to Apex Toys was a figure of Rosanna, the Cheek Summer version. Not really into this two-tone hair thing with like her character design, but this very skimpy, edgy swimsuit. Certainly a vibe, certainly looks very sexy. Not complaining about this sculpt, just not really into her hair. This figure though, this was like one of 3 announcements I was very excited about at Wonder Festival, but we finally, after like 3,000 years, put up that one Pokemon picture meme. We got the Amchan scale figure. Now, I don't know why they completely changed the idea behind this one, or maybe they always were like planning to make a figure like this, but the original artwork that they showed was so different in terms of vibe, in terms of setup. And I think a lot of us are a bit confused right now. I'll say it right now, I don't dislike this figure at all, but I also liked the other artwork. I liked how she was set up there. It was a bit more moody for some reason, and this one's just not capturing that same vibe. However, I do adore this outfit. Don't get me wrong, I think this looks pretty fantastic for what it is. The shading on her hair looks super good. I like that the ring light is knocked down over the monitors. It's just kind of funny to me. And the pose that she's striking feels a little bit rebellious, which, you know, I like that side of her too, but it's just so different that I need some time to adjust to this. I think I'll like it. I think I will pre-order this, but again, I don't know why they went in such a different direction when the first thing they showed was so strong, you know what I mean? Sorry to continue talking about this, but I guess it's because you have this like punk grunge look in terms of her clothing and just like her style, but she's also placed in her bedroom instead of originally where it looked like she was just behind some alley or like in some abandoned building. The photo looked like the cover to like a music album, whereas this just, you know, it makes sense because she's a streamer, she's always in her room, but it's just so different to me. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about it. I like it. Let's continue. Next up from Gridman was Shinjo Akane, the Chinese dress version, which is surprisingly choosing not to focus on her chest, which is like the typical thing you see with all of her figures, and instead focusing on her legs and feet, even putting like the anklets down there. And I will say, the sculpting of her feet look really nice. She looks very sexy here. I like the colors they chose for her too. Matches alongside with her hair really nicely, but I'm kind of not loving this chair and the wooden flooring. I don't know why. It's not like a big deal. It doesn't ruin the figure, but I wish I liked the design of these elements a little bit more. She still looks very nice though. And another Apex figure, Alice Riddle, designed by Star, which I don't believe is the first time Apex has made a figure of this character. If I'm remembering correctly, they like just put one out. But I will say, I think her face looks cuter than that other figure I'm talking about, but there's still that like element of chaos that the other figure had too. There's just like so much going on with the rabbit and his top hat and the cards flying out of it, some teacups about to spill on this big rabbit plushie down there. Seems like she's also emerging from like a window frame, you know what I mean? That's kind of my impression that I'm getting from this one. But yeah, a lot to take in with this. Very detailed costume, very frilly dress, looks great actually. Yeah, I'm sure this one, considering that other figure was very popular, this one will also be popular, and I think it looks better, but it's also not painted yet, so we'll see. One more Apex figure for now. Pretty sure they had more that we'll see later on, but here is the KDA Ari from League of Legends. A lot of crystal components to this design. Her tails are completely made of crystal, and I like what they're doing with her outfits, because it's like crystallized as well. Not only does the pattern work look sleek, but I like that the crystals are forming on the shoulder and rising up. That's a really neat looking outfit. Anyway, we're going to jump over to Mythos. I skipped a few. Here's the Exusier Elite 2 version from Arknights. And what an impression this one leaves. That like splash effect with all the assault rifles coming out of it as if they're supposed to look like wings or something. I don't know if that's intentional, but from this one photo, that's the impression I get. But alongside all of that, you get like the walkway up to the arch. And they might even do something with like the background. They might put something behind that. I'm pretty sure Mythos did the exact same thing with another character who I can't remember the name of right now. But I'm assuming this is going to look outstanding. I mean, the sculpt is already doing so much. Add some paint on this, and I think we have a winner. This will likely cost around 35,000, 40,000 yen, but honestly, considering how much they're doing, I'm not really offended by that. And that's just my guess anyway. Anyway, we have a Formidable Anniversaries Memory version in the works, alongside Trinidad Trapper in the Changing Room version. Wondering if you're gonna get this like sheets, because that would be a little weird to pull off, but seems kind of important to the design of that artwork. Now though, we're gonna start talking about Aniplex, and first up was their non-scale cake song figures of the Madoka cast. So you got Homura, you got Madoka, you got Sayaka, Kyoko, and Mami, alongside Charlotte. Now, I'm making an assumption here, but I feel like this image will be a special set. You won't get this table or Charlotte unless you buy all 5 of the characters. I feel like they will sell them individually, but will only give you this stuff if you buy them all for however much they're going to ask. Probably like 30,000 yen. They're non-scale, so they're not going to cost the most amount of money, but considering there's 5 characters and the furniture, it's gonna add up. Anyway, this figure's adorable, this shit's precious. Here is the Takina and Chisato Licorice Recoil figure. Nice that they actually gave us the setting from the artwork this figure is based on. I think the tree could look a little bit better, but you know, early stage, not gonna criticize it too much. I do like all the petals that have fallen onto this railing or sign. I can't remember what that's supposed to be, and then like on the ground down here too, but their outfits, they look really cute. I love how close they are to each other too. The posing is perfect, the smiles and the expressions, ooh, it's just so good. But gotta wait for the paint, gotta see how this actually looks on the final product. However, fantastic prototype. Next up was a figure of Makaine's Anna in her swimsuit playing with the hose, also wearing like parts of her school uniform. Likely will be pretty translucent considering it's very wet, and she's very happy, a very cheery figure. Pretty simple though. Here is a Morgan figure from Fate Grand Order. Pretty sure this one's been in production for a while. This does not look like a new prototype, so I'm gonna move on, but in case you never knew about that one. Here's another Fate Grand Order figure though, Ereshkigal, the first Ascension version, wearing her swimsuit, looking pretty lovely. Wish this photo was a little bit brighter. Can't really get a good tell on her face. But I do like the cage filled with the leaves. The foliage adds a lot to the sculpt, in my opinion, and I find her modest swimsuit to be pretty charming here. Though I don't know if I love this posing. Like, it's cute, but she's slightly leaning in a somewhat awkward way, so I'm wondering how this is going to look when you see it at all angles. Once again, back to Apex Toys. I wasn't kidding. They brought so much to Wonder Festival. Anyway, from Unicorn Overlord was Berengaria. Now, I've been a little critical about this one, just like the decision to like make a figure with this direction for this series didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Since learned that this is based off some artwork. However, everything I've said in the past doesn't really matter. This looks so good. And it's just like the combination of some really nice shading in the pants, if you can like focus on that outside of like how ripped they are by her butt. But like the red and then like the darker black shadows and the creases, that shit looks ace. Alongside the weathering of the shield and the axe, her face is really pretty, the purple lipstick, like dang, she looks gorgeous here. I think this will need some support though. This is like a very forward lean that they do need to address, which, you know, will look a little bit if you stick something right there, but what can you do? Won't ruin the figure. But if the price is right, I think they really nailed it. So good shit to them. Very, very nice looking figure from Unicorn Overlord. Maybe even the best looking one so far. Once again, another Apex figure of Xiaolinger, the Thunder Fairy version. Tons of electricity and wind effects on the bottom there. Looks nice for sure. I like the movement they captured in her hair and like the ribbon along her waist, but I don't really know too much about this character, and just like her design doesn't leave a strong impact on me. This figure of Elena looks really cute. I really like what they did with the base, because you have like this very vibrant blue cloudy sky, and then the clouds continue to trail off and I think act as a bit of a support for her coat, or like her robe rather, which is like a pretty smart way to do that. Some very colorful translucent umbrellas down here too, just to complete the package, but the contrast with the starry night sky umbrella, that shit's just genius to me. I really like the way this figure is designed. She looks adorable too, very happy. Everything is in motion, including her outfit, right? The hair as well. This one's from Elegance. I think this is a very strong figure of Elena, assuming, you know, it comes out looking like this. Really love the idea behind this one. I guess we're in the Elegance section now. Here's a figure of Formidable Rockin' Encore, just doing a massive stretch. I don't know what is going on here, considering she's holding scissors right next to a cat. Don't harm the cat, please. But yeah, what is she about to cut? Certainly not her very long hair draping all over this couch in the front, even the back and the side too. Outfit very skimpy, barely covering up her chest. Is this supposed to be a rabbit tail? Seems like she has some rabbit ears up here too. Interesting design for Formidable. Got another elegant figure. This is Breast, is that really her name? Marine Muse version from Azur Lane. A bit of a underwater theme here. The ruins of Atlantis behind her. The Manju, snorkeling. That doesn't really work that way. But yeah, considering she's supposed to be underwater, that would explain this hair sculpt, the way it's flowing outward. And like the dress kind of has a mermaid thing going on, specifically the bottom here. That's my impression at the very least. Elegant is also making a figure of Fujita Kotone, yellow big band version from the Idol Master. We also had some 1/8 scale action figures of Cheshire and Z23 Retrofit. Okay. Moving on, we had the Lime Pie 1/8 scale of the Pro Tag from Persona 3, which looks like a pretty good pose for a budget figure. Keep that in mind. Lime Pies are like 5,000 to 6,000 yen. We have a 1/7 scale from Clanel of Owari, the Anime Expo 2024 version. So essentially, Owari in a bit more of a modern, fashionable outfit. I guess something you typically wouldn't see in Azur Lane, maybe? I don't even know if that's true. I like the fishnets and the short shorts, though. Her top looks so tight, but we do know she has a very massive chest. Next up from Clanel was Mihono Bourbon. Oh shit, we're actually getting Uma Musume here. I did not expect that. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with this outfit. Looks a bit like a tea time thing. I think it looks okay. They're not doing anything crazy with that sculpt. And here is Maruzensky with a pretty simple little figure as well. I wonder what this is actually going to cost. Hopefully not the typical 27,000 yen, because I feel like that would be a bit too much. Next up is another Uma Musume figure, love to see it, Maeno Top Gun rocking Mew Meow version. I'm guessing this isn't something in the US release just yet. I can't believe Clanell's making a figure of Breddy. I didn't see that coming. Someone giving Breddy some love? That's pretty ace. I will keep my eyes on that for sure. I like her design. Anyway, Apex Toys with a 1/8 scale of Joker in the Lime Pie line, so a budget figure, pulling on the glove, pretty recognizable pose for the guy, so I think that's a pretty good choice. Here is the Lime Pie of Virginia from Unicorn Overlord, and I think this makes it so apparent that this is a budget figure compared to like any of the other Lime Pies we've seen so far. It just looks really simple for a Unicorn Overlord figure. And unfortunately, I'm not really loving the sculpting. I feel like from this angle too, her face doesn't really look right. Next up, let's talk about Proof. They had the Sakura Kinomoto Soar version from the Clear Card arc, a design that we typically don't see in figure form. This base is great. It's all lush, and there's so many wind effects and the wings down here. But that face does not look enough like Sakura to me. I don't think they did her face right, which is a bit of a shame. We also had a bunch of Gurren Lagann figures. We have the Yoko and the Yoko M tank, which in my opinion is the best looking one so far. She has a great pose, the gunman down there looks excellent, and just, you know, getting that character accuracy is very important to me, and it seems like they accomplished that. But then we have a figure of Viral, who I think only looks okay. Unfortunately, Enki not looking that great, which is a shame, because he had one of the best gunmen in the series, in my opinion. I fucking love the design of that thing. And the pose is good, but there's just something lacking here. It just doesn't look enough like Viral, in my opinion. And then we also had the Simone and Nia figure, which should have been a slam dunk. They got the pose from like the iconic speech that he makes, but I feel like something's off here outside of the Gurren Lagann, which once again looks excellent. That metallic paint really shines on this figure. But the issue here for me is really with the characters, and I know this photo's not the best, so I'll try and find another one. But Nia's like angry face here, I don't really get it. Originally she was looking up at Simone in like awe because of his resolve, and Simone was going through the worst time of his life, and originally he was like all dirty because he was just hanging out, making sculptures, not taking baths and shit, and he shouldn't be as pristine as he is here. It just doesn't really represent the moment as nice as I would like it to. But I guess it's not the worst thing I've seen. I do kind of like this more than the Viral figure. But I know this is going to cost like a ton of money considering how big the Gurren Lagann's head is. So I don't know. I wish I liked that way more, because this is like a top 10 show for me. But I think at this stage, only the Yoko figure is really standing out to me in a positive way. Anyway, next up from Proof is a figure of Uzaki Hana, the Angel version. Pretty simplistic palette, but the white and gold work excellently alongside each other. Cute face, cute expression, what's not to like, hopefully not too expensive. Once again, back to Apex Toys with a line pie of Marija, the sister version from Muse Dash. Great character design here, really like the purple palette. A couple of different shades, cute pose as she's got her hands like to her chin, leaning onto the sword. Since this is only going to cost like 6,000 yen, I think that's one to look out for. Moving on to Spiritel, I know they showed some stuff that has not been updated, like this Sakura Miku figure alongside Moe from Blue Archive. I don't know why they're just not updating this figure. It's been at least like 2 years at this point, I think. But we did finally get the update for Elfelt from Guilty Gear Strive, and she's looking really good. The tree trunk legs accounted for. The pose here is expected, since just like with Bridget, it's the key art from the game, so we knew what this would look like, but it looks great at the same time. The only thing I'm not exactly sure about is like if her face is matching the art style of the game. It looks a little different to me, but since she's not painted, not really going to worry about it too much. And then speaking of Guilty Gear, we actually got another Bridget figure, this time from Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, if that means anything to you. So Bridget's older design, which some people like way more, some people like less. They've lifted Bridget up in the air, a very dynamic pose. Unfortunately, does have two supports. I feel like one is fine, but two kind of pushing it, especially since like, why have this dust cloud back here if it's not going to reach the foot? That would have been very simple and would have made more sense to me. but they kept it low to the ground, so now you have this extra support, which kind of stinks. Anyway, moving on, we have a figure of Shinosawa Hiro from Gakuen Idolmaster, where she's, I guess, mid-training. She's running, she's tired, you could see it in her face. I like this idea. I wish they committed a little bit harder to just, like, the tiredness of the character, make her sweat a little bit. She's got, like, one drop on her forehead. I don't think that's enough. I think they should do a little bit more, unless they're hiding that somewhere else. Paint looks really nice on this figure, though, and this does not look expensive, so it better be under 20,000 yen. And then we had a figure of Pimaru-sama. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, I apologize, but this shit is cute. This outfit is so vibrant, and I just like what she's wearing. The oversized socks, the bloomers underneath the skirt, just like a bunch of cute ribbons adorning her costume, a little bird down here cheering her on, and just a really cute pose too. Very colorful, very Genki, very fun. Think that's a good one for sure. I don't know if this one was an update. We have the Ryza swimsuit version from Atelier Ryza 3. Certainly a song and dance we've done time and time again with Ryza, so nothing new here. Swimsuit might be a little bit different than the other figures though. Check out that thigh gap though, pretty good. She looks good for sure. Anyway, Apex Toys again had an announcement for a 1/7 scale of Liu Tanyi, the 12th anniversary version. This artwork looks like it would be extremely hard to pull off in figure form, especially if you somehow incorporate this, like, moon emotion clock behind her. I don't know what's going on there, but this has a ton of promise. We are now talking about Metacross Entertainment with their figure of Mast from Goddess of Victory Nikke, whose design I like quite a bit, though she really does just look like Marine from Hololive. Like, a little bit too much. It just feels very intentional, except she has a really silly little parrot that joins her on her little adventures. The pose here feels like it's taken right out of the game itself, like right before you click the character and they start shooting stuff. That's kind of what I'm getting when I look at it. Anyway, G14 EO, the Made Summer version from Mahjong Fight Girl, looks straight out of Bomber Girl's like character designs. I'm pretty sure the same artist has worked on this character. Very cheeky, this girl, very, you know, smug as well, which I would expect from Bomber Girl and just like adjacent series. The fangs are out, very busty, very skimpy outfit. I don't know what this base is supposed to be, maybe like her summoning portal when you use the character. But yeah, very expressive. I think all those like artist character designs are very expressive, so I think it looks good. Here is the Toki Bikini armor from Don Quixote and Senran Kagura, Shinobi Master New Link. Another pretty self-explanatory figure. She has a great smile though. I really like her expression. And her stance is causing her, wow, she's really cheeked up too. But her stance is causing her chest to like lift up a little bit, which I'm sure the sculptors wanted to make sure they got as down pat as possible, just to make it sexier. And speaking of sexiness, my god, this 1/4 scale bunny figure of Rin, if that's the pose they're going for a 1/4 scale, I think a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about that one. This was probably my favorite announcement at the event, actually getting another scale figure from Dorohedoro. And it's Nikaido in the Devil suit, which is a great choice for a figure in my opinion. I don't know if this company is going to be able to do this justice, but this is something that unless it's a travesty when it comes out, I will absolutely check out. I can't skip this. I want stuff like this. I want more companies to make figures for Dorohedoro, and not just like the 3-0 doll posable figures. I don't really like that line as much after the Nikaido figure was really disappointing to me, but this is super up my alley, and they chose a great design for her. Next up for Metacross was a 1/4 scale of Ilia, I guess the movie version. It's a pretty simple design. She's got some bat wings, which are really high up here, but like around her waist on what I assume is the silhouette of the figure. So I guess they're just changing things up a little bit. Here's another 1/4 scale, this time of Kitagawa Marin. Now, something I forgot to mention earlier is that Metacross Entertainment, with their 1/4 scales, tend to use like fabric for the clothing, so you can like cast off if you would like to. I'm pretty sure they will do that with this Marin figure. So look forward to that if you're into that idea. Next up from Proof again, we're actually getting some Nikke figures, one of Helm Aquamarine, as well as Senti Supreme Holiday. Ooh, I like this outfit a lot. That backwards cap Ooh, that's fresh. Okay. Next up from Solar Rain was a 1/7 scale of Yamashiro Ren from Chained Soldier. Just the announcement, but she does look pretty cool, so hopefully that's a good figure. Jumping over to Amakuni, we have Koharu from Blue Archive looking very cute. I like her blush. The colors on this figure are really nice too. Cute, simple little figure. Sure they'll do a good job with that one. We got a new figure from Date Alive of Tokisaki Kurumi, the competitive swimsuit version. Now this might not look very exciting, but they've done this once before with Chizuru from Rent a Girlfriend. And that figure, 1, looked incredible when it came out, and 2, was very desirable on the aftermarket. I think they're trying to do the exact idea again, and hope this time even more people go for the figure. And judging from last time, I think Amakuni has a pretty good handle on how to make Tokisaki here as alluring as possible. I mean, look at her waist, my god. They have sculpted that very well. Here's a figure of Ruka, the competitive swimsuit version. Okay, this is like a whole thing now. They're making a bunch of these figures. Here's a handful of figures from Goddess of Victory at Nikke. You got Mast, A Pirate's Heart, Ludmilla, Winter Owner, and Viper, Shine of Love. I guess considering this one is actually painted, I guess I'll focus on this one the most. I mean, she looks really good here. I mean, Amakuni, kings and queens of sculpting body sculpts. They have done such a good job with her body, especially the stomach and definitely the chest. I like this bird freaking out over here. I always like him. Not doing too much with the beach setting, but you do get a little crab companion down here. It's a pretty simple bikini, and she's also wearing like this little jacket on top of that, a little collar alongside it too. But I mean, sometimes less is more. I think this looks really good, actually. Here's a fully painted figure of Akiyama Rinko in her skin-tight bodysuit. Opened up in a few areas, maybe ripped down here too. I mean, certainly showing off a little bit of her butt, right? Very, very glossy. I like this mesh on one of her boots. That's really slick, actually, the way they've either painted that, or maybe that's like a printed on pattern. I'm not really sure from this one photo, but I do love its appearance and just like the overall shininess this figure has. She looks very good. We also had a figure of Kirin Yu, designed by Nikke. Trendy looking dragon girl, just because of like the modern, but also like traditional outfit. It's like a mix of both, in my opinion. I really like her face though. I think she is extremely cute. Hairstyle, the buns, the braided hoops, oversized sleeves, but they like look so comfy too. The ruffling, just like over the hands. I don't know, this outfit is really appealing to me. Palette is pretty muted for sure, grays and blacks, but like that's intentional, of course. You get some splashes of blue, a little bit of yellow, and like a little bit of red as well on these like belt straps or whatever they're supposed to be. I think it's enough. I think she's supposed to be like more muted in terms of the colors, so I quite like that one. Aki has been painted for a while. Where is that figure? Why is it not up for pre-order? We have the Brilliant Journey Azur Lane Day Off Date. This outfit slaps. I like that they gave her the counter too. She's enjoying some boba, perhaps trying to share it with her date. I don't think her face looks as cute as it could, but it's not like that bad. I just feel like something's slightly off there. Right now we're in the Union Creative section, and they had a ton of 1/6 scales. In fact, maybe all of their figures were 1/6 scales, which I don't think I ever picked up on as like their preference. But either way, most of these I don't really have too much to talk about, but we'll show them off, of course. Tobichi Origami, the Spirit version from Date Alive. There was also 2 figures from King's Proposal, one for Kuozaki Saika, which you could see right here, as well as just the announcement for Hildegard Silber. I like her design quite a bit. This artwork is very cute, in my opinion. Anyway, next up was a ton of Idolmaster figures. This one's probably my favorite just because it's Riamu, and it's depicting her in a swimsuit with 2 water guns. The super soakers are out. She's like all flustered and teary-eyed as she typically is. It's really fun. I like this design quite a bit. We have this Kogane figure with a very cheeky expression. That's probably my favorite part about this one. Holding the flags like it's the Shy Guy minigame from Mario Party. There was 3 Idolmaster figures that all feature wings like this. I don't know if they're supposed to be angelic, but it is a theme because they all share the same base too, which we could see here, as well as this figure of Osaki Tenka, and then the last one here of Kuwayama Chiyuki. So look forward to that if you like those designs. Some more Idolmaster figures. These are much more simplistic though, wearing like more casual clothing, right? Of Tamari and Misuzu. Here's a figure of Super Sonico, the nurse bikini version, just merging 2 ideas together. The one thing that I noticed outside of just like her pose, which kind of shows off both her butt and her chest at the same time, is that she has one glove on. I wonder where that's going. I wonder what she's preparing for. Oshinoko is getting a figure from Union Creative, the Ruby Cat Ear Maid version, which they have made a figure like this for Kana, which I guess I'll put on screen right now. It's a cute one. The colors are a little drab outside of her hair and eyes though, so I wonder what direction they're going to take when it comes to Ruby's palette. Anyway, next up, oh, why are they making a Happy Chaos figure? Guilty Gear Strive actually getting more stuff that's not expected is actually pretty cool. I wish it was anybody else. I did not like watching anything in Tournament that featured this character, but, you know, I'm pretty sure he's not meta anymore, so that's fine, I guess. You know what? Pretty sick. I won't be buying this. Don't expect me to buy this, but it's actually kind of cool. I'm just being a hater because I never liked watching anything, and he was like everywhere in Tournament. It was just not fun to watch that guy. Anyway, here is a figure from Onimai. I'm Now Your Sister of Mahito, the Alice in Wonderland version. This shit cute. It's also very wholesome for this series. As long as they nail the pastel colors, I think this could be very promising. Next up, let's move on. Here's a figure from Goddess of Victory Nikke of Maiden Under the Sun. Okay, looks like a typical swimsuit figure, right? Bikini style, has some sunglasses. Not too interesting of a sculpt otherwise, but I mean, if you like the character, maybe something to get excited about. Here is another figure of Yamashiro Ren from Chain Soldier. Here's a figure of Minami from Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable. Okay, I can get behind this one. I don't know why she's making the peace sign like that though. No confidence behind those fingers. What is this little snowman down here? This is really cute. Well, kinda. It doesn't really have a face, or like it's in the snow itself, not like, you know, little rocks and no carrot nose. All right, new company to talk about here is Wing with their Bach Gorgeous Speedstar version from Azur Lane. Bratz archetype, I have to imagine. Money just strapped to her shorts. Okay. This bike does look pretty impressive. This has to be a very expensive figure. There's a lot of mechanical detail in this motorcycle. But yeah, this photo kind of sucks. I don't know what it is. It's very drab. I doubt the colors are going to be this drab on the final figure. Here is their Laffy 2 Sleeping on a Busy Day version, also from Azur Lane, so a bunny suit figure. One with a pattern on the leggings. You don't typically see that. Looks pretty cute. Can't tell what animal that's supposed to be, but I like it nonetheless. Twin tails are massive. There are a lot of strands just like breaking out of the main base of her hair, you know what I mean? And there's also like an accident waiting to happen on this tray as the Manju desperately tries to save the drink. I think there's also some more down here carrying additional food. So yeah, a lot going on in this figure. A lot of details, very cute. Seems like a nice figure for sure. Here is the Anchorage Azur Lane prototype, more like the 3D render, so really no sculpt to talk about, but this is what the figure is going to look like. Moving on, another Wing figure of Yumiya from Azur Lane, I guess like the collaboration with Atelier Yumiya. Does anybody remember when this artwork was first posted? There was a lot of like complaining about it because of the skirt censoring her, you know what I mean? Like the skirt really wouldn't work that way if she was kicking so high up in the air, but they drew it this way just because, you know, they're not trying to have her flash everybody as much as that might delight some people. Anyway, we're jumping over now to FNEX or Furyu with their figure announcements. These two are both from Goddess of Victory, Nikke, of course. We have Mihara, the Pain Eater, just the 3D render of this one, wearing some like negligee, lingerie, also sitting in a chair of thorns. That can't be comfy. And then we had a figure of Emma, the Office Therapy version, which, I mean, goddamn, those proportions. Also, her face kind of like hides her nose a little bit too much. I think it's just in the artwork though. I feel like that won't be the case on the figure, but that did throw me off just a little bit. Here's a figure of Moe in her swimsuit. I appreciate seeing another figure of her. I like Moe's design. I do wonder if you'll be able to put on her glasses just because they're hanging off her sweatshirt, but who knows. And then we also got a figure of Chiaki, the Memorial Lobby version. I must wonder if they're going to commit to this entire art, have her actually hiding under the desk. We had a 1/6 scale of August von Parzival from Azur Lane. Again, just the 3D render, but does seem pretty nice so far. Very thick legs on that figure. We got an Arknights figure of Ines from FNEX, looking pretty solid. Not a super exciting pose, pretty static, but does look pretty cool nonetheless. A lot of detail in her costume for sure. But we will continue. Here are a bunch of Niji Sanji announcements. Aside of VTubing, I know very little about, unfortunately, but we're getting scale figures for Nui, Shioriha, Ratna, that's a cute name, and Design, as well as Koshimizu. And then additionally, even more figures from Niji Sanji, Koyanagi, as well as Sayagusa, and then a soft vinyl figure of Lun Lun, which I guess is like a mascot of sorts. Very cute. I like that idea. Wonder how big this is actually going to be. Next company we're going to be talking about is Wave. Here is a Gridman Universe Rika Papa Parade Beach Queen, large size, which I think might be the only one in this video. And I like the design of it. You know, it's a simple swimsuit, but the fact that she's like playing with her hair, this pose just makes it a lot stronger in my opinion. I think I remember seeing another swimsuit figure from them. Yeah, this one, the Shinosawa Hero Idolmaster figure. A little bit more meek and quiet in the expression and posing, but still making the heart sign, so I do think it's still pretty dang cute. They turned Punidu into a gal for some reason. I don't know if this like happens in the show or if this was just like a fun idea. Pretty dang cute though. I like the texturing in the sweater that she's wearing. Honestly, the socks too. Those are some nice looking socks for a figure. And I think they look even better when you compare it to like this very simplistic, super glossy hair sculpt. Just because it's supposed to be like a jelly slime thing, right? It looks really good. I quite like that one. No idea how much that would cost though. Here is the Meido Buso figure AX, which I feel like we've seen multiple times, but I think Q is also making a figure either of this exact same character or another one designed by the same artist. But Wave is taking their crack at this. And yeah, she's looking sexy. Clearly a weld going down the chest, so that's a no-no. But has this massive axe, which also will grab your attention if you're not like only staring at this figure for one reason. But yeah, some nice like purple highlights inside of her pinkish hair, like in the back portion, which looks pretty good. The two-tone there. Quite a big fan of this color scheme. And then just the whole Monster energy drink thing going on with like all of these figures. It's a running theme. We have another Azur Lane figure of Atago in her school uniform, fallen over. I have definitely seen this one before. I feel like I've seen it painted too, so I'm gonna keep going. I think I've seen these figures of Ranko and Kaide as well. I don't remember them lighting up like this. I don't know if this is just like part of the photo shoots or if they actually have some like gimmick to the figures. I hope they do, because these look pretty good when they have this like neon LED light thing going on. These blue lights look really nice against the rest of the colors on this figure. And then yeah, Notori Sana getting this Jiangshi style figure. I don't believe we've seen these mascots before, but I have absolutely seen the sculpt. It's a cute one for sure, but nothing I haven't seen before. Same with the Supersonico Sexy Pastry Chef. I believe this is the exact same sculpt as last time actually, but still sexy nonetheless. Here is a figure from Kyoto, who I think we might have seen painted before, though I don't remember if I've talked about it when it was painted. And I feel like it kind of lost a bit of its like oomph. It's not as like striking as that artwork. And I think it kind of just comes down to the face, because I like the way they sculpted and painted everything else. A very glossy outfit, the defined stomach, the patterns on the leggings, even the hair has some nice bounce to it, some nice movement and flow, but doesn't really look like Miku to me. Also, the pose she's striking, so fabulous, but I just don't like the face anymore on this figure, which is a bit of a shame. However, this Hatsune Miku figure is potentially a banger, depending on the paint once again. This is such a nice design. It's like Dragon Miku, I believe, because of the tail and the horns, and then like this mystical cloud thing going on with her outfit, and even like the tail as well kind of transforms into like a cloud-like pattern. I think it's gorgeous. I like this outfit. I like this dragon tattoo running down the thigh. Seems like her face is going to be very pretty. I think the way her hair is also styled is gorgeous, but this isn't the best photo, so I guess I need to do some like searching around, see if I find some better ones for this figure. But I do think it's very exciting. This figure of Hatsune Miku has to be the most precious thing I've ever seen. The little bird version, joined by her brothers and sisters, those little birds around her, inside of an eggshell, placed on top of the nest seems like a younger depiction of the character as well, also wearing like a bit of a doll-like outfit. I can't get an exact read on her clothing, but doesn't really matter. This shit's cute as hell. I think this, if they do it well, will be extremely popular, especially considering this is like smaller looking, so hopefully it's not like too much money either. But yeah, these last two Miku figures I feel like are among some of my favorites I've seen over the past year or two. Like, these designs are just so strong and so different from what we typically get. Moving on though, Kyoto is making figures of Mary Rose and Honoka from Dead or Alive 6. I'll be frank, I think these expressions are pretty boring, but also like expected at the same time. I mean, they do both look like they're straight from the game, so I guess mission accomplished. I won't really criticize them for that. Design Coco is up next, showing off a figure of Elena fully painted, just chilling at home, drinking some tea, enjoying her time with this cute little kitty who's playing with a butterfly. It's a wholesome setup, not really for me. I think the other figure of Elena was much more exciting, but I do quite like the way that figure is set up. Here's a figure of Sakurajima Mai, the jellyfish version, which has her playing with the jellyfish, one on her finger, and then like a massive one surrounded by bubbles, lifting her up in the air. I feel like from this one photo, it doesn't quite look like her in my opinion, but I love the concept, so I hope I like this one more when she goes up for pre-order, because it's a great idea for sure. We have a scale figure in the works of Chiaki from Blue Archive. Not much to work with, unfortunately, based off this art, so we'll hopefully see what they're cooking in the near future. Next up, oh shit, okay, so Design Coco, working with Tori Domino, making two figures. I could be your angel or your devil. I think I like this girl's design a little bit more if I had to choose, but I think I'm gonna like both of them. We have an original character figure in the works designed by Momoko. Here's the artwork that it's based on, very cute, alongside a figure of Arcana from Goddess of Victory Nikke. A lot of just announcements from Design Coco, which is a little disappointing, honestly. Here's the Raffaello, Protector of Love and Beauty figure, as well as Shimanto, the Relaxing Dragon God, both from Azur Lane. Here is Vertex with their Elf Village series. I think these are the only figures they brought to the event. They're bread and butter. We got Monica, designed by Sunako, as well as Zephia, designed by Hayabusa, who's looking pretty good. Tori Domino strikes once again with a figure of Hazel, the 18th villager. That's how many we have just in the Elf Village line. And wouldn't you know it, there is now a new subset of villager figures, the Nether Elf Village. This line will just never die. And you know what? Good for them. They found their money. This is the first villager, Delphina, designed by Asanagi. So now the elves are just going to be straight up evil or sadistic or whatever other angle they want to take, and I'm certainly curious where this line is going to go. But not only is the Nether Elf Village a new subset for Vertex, but we also have the Village Visitor line. This is Misane, designed by Raita, and this is an already existing character if you don't follow Raita's works and just, you know, characters he creates. So yeah, they're just being turned into an elf. And not only is Raita getting into this, there's also the Sophia F. Shearing, designed by Nadare. Of course, Sophia F. Shearing was going to come up, because why wouldn't she? She is just getting like a bajillion figures these days. Honestly, I think this is a great idea, just turning popular OCs into elves. Like, who's going to complain about that, giving these characters maybe a more fantastical or fictional spin to their already existing design? I think that might even be more exciting than the Nether Elves. But that was it for Vertex. Here's Alice Glints. They had a bunch of these Cafe Stella figures, a 1/3/5 scales of Shiki Natsume, which I'm gonna guess will probably have some cast-off features, but can't really tell. There was Nozumi working at the cafe with their pancake stack and the syrup becoming a heart. Very cute. There was also Shirley Warwick from Amairo Ionauts. I don't know what the series is. Looks like a visual novel art style of sorts. I think there was a few figures in this line. Masaki Gaillard, that's a name. Okay, very cute base though. I love these donuts, partially eaten. This looks fantastic down here actually. Some figures are being made from Tenchi Sozo Reboots, Kohibari Kurumi, as well as a figure of Hoshikawa Kaguya. Very pretty fox girl. Kineko from Golden Head, their favorite little cat girl, is getting a new figure, the play version. Doesn't really look too different from the other ones they've made so far. I think this one's kind of doing nothing special, but she's always cute, so I guess it's okay. Almost forgot about this one. This was another one of my favorite figures from this event. I just really like her design. Rabi from Ruru. It's a pretty simple bunny girl. If I could find some close-up shots, what's really selling this one for me is the nail arts and the eyes. Not only does she have heart pupils, not only is it a very vibrant red, but there's like a half-tone pattern inside as well. I just find her face to be really cute. It is a shame, though, that the fishnets seem to either be painted on or just like a printed pattern instead of being like actual fishnets. I do feel like that portion of the figure could look a little bit better, but everything else about Rabi I'm thinking is looking top notch, so curious how much this is going to cost. I feel like they might overcharge just because it is Ruru, a very, very popular artist, but it's not Eve, the character that typically is turned into figures, so I don't really know. Yeah, we are in the Golden Head section right now. I don't know if the Hungry Clicker My figure was a new announcement. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. We did get the update on the Kula Diamond sculpt, which is looking really good. I think I'm just happy, though, seeing Hungry Clicker's art brought into 3D figure form. But, I mean, her face is adorable, and, like, the detail within her costume's pretty good. Specifically the gloves. That seems like a lot of effort just for some gloves, but they are pretty important to her design. We also had the My figure based off of City of the Wolves, which you might recall puts her in that like skin-tight latex suit, but I really don't like the art style of this game, so I'm not really vibing with this specific My figure. Outfit looks great on her, I'm just not a big fan of the face itself on that figure. Here's a 1 3/5 scale of Himejima Akeno Race Queen version from High School DxD. Ria's got a figure just like this, turned out really nice, and the price was solid too, so only makes sense that Akeno would follow suit, and I think she's looking on point. Not sure what colors are going to go with because Ria's had some strange colors, yellow and black. I feel like you wouldn't associate that with Ria's too much, so I have no idea on the direction of the colors, but face is looking fantastic, and so is the body sculpt. This is awesome. Blue Mary and Shermie are getting figures designed by Hungry Clicker. Now, this is not Hungry Clicker's art, but this is. So this is probably what the figure is going to look like, but the Shermie figure, this is just the art from King of Fighters 15. So, I don't know. I would not be surprised if this is the posing. But I guess we'll see. That's awesome, though, that Hungry Clicker continues to get figures from Golden Head. And man, I guess Golden Head must love King of Fighters and Fatal Fury because they're also making a B Jenny figure, specifically from City of the Wolves, which again, I'm not really the biggest fan of the art style. This artwork for Jenny looks good. I feel like her modeling game looks a little weird. So if it looks like this, I'll probably be happy with it. But we'll see what they cook up in the future. We also had Serika from Blue Archive, has her prototype looking cute. Little angry scowl, not very happy to see you. This pose is a little strange to me. She's like holding her thighs and leaning back a little bit. I guess it's cute though, definitely works as a figure. Here is the Blue Archive Satsuki Memorial Lobby version. I feel like this character is relatively new. I'm pretty sure that's the case, so must just be super popular if they're already making a figure for her. And then we jump over to Freeing, who I completely forgot was at this event. Seems like they just brought a few Azur Lane figures, so we have the Joffrey Blessings First Flight, as well as New Jersey Anniversary Swimsuit version, which is not this figure. This is the Shinano Anniversary Swimsuit version, and this is the New Jersey figure. So even I'm learning about the Azur Lane characters. I gotta say, her face and the hair looks so good for Freeing standards. I like the glasses too. Absolute shelf hog because she's pretty much laying down here at the 1/4 scale, so you better prepare the shelves. Anyway, next up we had Alphamax Mogador, the olfactory nursery call. I guess any figure of this character is going to have somewhat of a lustful look, but okay, sexy nurse, not wearing too much at all. Could even pass for like a bunny suit with the way this top is designed. Next up, we had a figure, not really seeing too much of it, of the Franklin Heart-Throbbing Records. So, sexy nurse, maybe? Just the render, unfortunately. Here's the Azur Lane Shinano Visions of Fantasy, which I suppose is actually a bunny suit figure based off the ears, the suit she's wearing. She has some leggings. They don't really look like traditional bunny suit leggings, but I do like how tight they're hugging her body. Got the belts wrapping around the thighs, very sexy. And then continuing, we had a figure of Chikuma, the premium prize on the table from Azur Lane. I guess this is supposed to be a champagne bottle. It seems like the fizz is leaking out a little bit. Very, very big bunny ears on this figure. So again, a bunny girl figure. Cute face for sure, and I like how her chest is pushing up onto the bottle itself, just to give that slight sense of realism. Ooh, this one looks good. Maggiore, the God Craves Punishment, an Anubis-styled figure. Love the headpiece, love the ears. Outfit's non-existent, has the golden thong though, and enjoying a peach. Must be very tasty. You have my attention. Curious what the colors on that figure are going to be. Oh, who's this supposed to be? Bartolomeo, the Empress's romantic ambush. Kind of a similar figure, no? I can barely make out her clothing. I can see the leggings. I think she's wearing a top, but like, this figure almost looks naked. Do love the headpiece once again, though. Next up, we have another Kashino figure. Still illustration, pouring the milk right on the chest. Alphamax is making so many 1/4 scales, especially from Azur Lane. Yeah, I mean, she looks even bustier than the other figure. Hair looks pretty good, very translucent at the end though. Hopefully that looks fine on the final product. Could look a little cheap if they don't do it well. But you know what? I bet people aren't really too concerned about that if they're liking that figure. And then there was the Bremerton Memories version. Once again, just the 3D render of it. I guess a Christmas-themed figure with a lots of rippage in the leggings. Alright, Alphamax is continuing 1/4 scales of Toki and Yumi. I guess this is the Yumi figure back here, both from Senran Kagura. Very daring, bold outfits. A little yabe for this video, but I think I can show this without getting in trouble. Yeah, very, very sexy stuff. Here is Arma Bianca making a figure of Makise Karisu, the 15th anniversary illustration version. I'm not very familiar with this dress for Karisu. I also think her face looks very bland. This figure just doesn't really look that great to me. Not to be too negative, but I just don't see the excitement about that one. And then they're making a new Megaman figure, probably a sleepy time one. If she comes with the crescent moon, that could be really nice. Moving on to Hobby Sakura, we're getting 1/4 scales from Goddess of Victory Nikke. This is the Black Shadow Longing Flower version, which is coming with quite a bit. Like, not only are you getting a massive figure of a Nikke character, but the base is looking pretty intricate too. You got the tree down there, some flowers blooming, but the water underneath rippling lightly, petals floating above the water. She looks really nice. Like, her face is very pretty, very like dynamically set up. The clothing is in a nice motion. Very sexy legs, very long. Seems like the chest could use a little bit of work. Once again, kind of lazy weld there, but everything else does look pretty promising. We have Rappy Red Hood getting a 1/4 scale. The colors are strange on this. Is she supposed to be so ghoulish with her skin tone? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Maybe this is just like not done yet. Or I don't know something about this character. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But regardless, it does seem like Hobby Sakura likes to do something special with all of these 1/4 scale bases. Like, you would literally never see that with Freeing. This is more of something that like a third-party resin company would do. So it's nice to see the official stuff follow suit, do something a little bit more special with the bases, make the characters and figures feel a little bit more complete. Also, real quick, let me just point out this effect piece, just like bursting out of the gun. That's pretty neat too. Again, especially at the 1/4 scale. We had a figure of Mast, once again, the romantic maid version. Yeah, something about the colors in all of these photos seems very desaturated and off. I'm just assuming they're not done yet, but they're still working on it. This just cracks me up. I guess this is a thing that Nikke does, but they make references all the time, and they're like, their characters and artwork. Why is Patrick Star just there, butt-ass naked, just like hugging the barrel? Also, is this supposed to be like the little bird that follows her around, but just like dressed up as a butler? That's pretty cute, because she's in a maid-style costume, at least somewhat, right? Kind of incorporating the pirate look, but throwing on, you know, like the apron and like the puffy sleeves on top of that. Really nice looking figure. Sucker for her figures though. I just like Mass design quite a bit. We have a 1/7 scale from Goddess of Victory Nikke of Grave, Beautiful You. So this is what the figure's gonna look like. Pretty cool design overall. I like the scars on her body. I hope they're you know, incorporated into the figure too. Seems like they're actually changing her pose up a little bit. She's pulling her pants away from her waist, which you can't see here. I guess they just want to show off her abs a little bit more, and I can't blame them for wanting to do that. Hoo boy, does that look good. Anyway, here is a 1/7 scale of Little Mermaid, Abyss Flower, another underwater figure. Very similar to that other figure we saw earlier. I believe her name was Berest, but she was also from Azur Lane instead of Nikke. But yeah, similar like sculpt for her hair, just flowing outward. The dress kind of has a mermaid thing towards the bottom. Looks very pretty, just a different character. And then we're also getting a bunch of 1/10 scale, so I have to imagine these are going to be pretty cheap. We have Noir, Blanc, Alice, and then I think there was a few more up here. There was Privity, the Unkind Maid, as well as Cinderella and Scarlet, Racer's High version. So, just something a little bit cheaper if you're fans of Nikke. But we're not done yet, because we also got 1/7 scale figure announcements for Scarlet and Rose from Goddess of Victory Nikke, as well as 2 figures from Brown Dust 2. So here is a 1/7 scale of Beachside Angel Therese, as well as a 1/7 scale of the Daydream Bunny Morphia. Love the ducky. In fact, this looks so realistic at the moment. It might even look worse when they're done, but I think it's just because it looks so worn down due to the duller colors and paint. Anyway, I think that's actually it from Wonder Festival on this page, but I'm gonna do a little scouting, find some other stuff, and we'll continue. Alright, so unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of a pain because there's just random figures that I did not see on Twitter that were here on Moe Pop's website. Like the leopard swimsuit version, 1/6 scale. I think Magia Bizer got a figure like a week or 2 ago that went up for pre-order. This one looks pretty good too, a swimsuit that is reminiscent of the costume that she wears. Plus she comes with the gun, what's not to love. But yeah, I kind of just have to like look through all of these pages now, and there's so many of them. Just looking for new stuff, like I'm pretty sure we did not see this earlier. Aki from Scum of the Brave. There should be a few more announcements on this page. We had Teorita from Sentenced to be a Hero. This was like a contest, I'm pretty sure. And there's like a couple of figures of Lena Inverse, which I hope actually get made into figures, because I would like a nice figure of Lena Inverse. She is so cool. I adore her design. This is Kisaragi Alice from Combatants Will Be Dispatched. I think this was also parts of the contest they were holding, alongside Alia from Alia Sometimes Hides Your Feelings in Russian. Next up, I guess there was a figure of Sistine Fibel. Not familiar with her, but a cute design nonetheless. Some plastic models, which we're not going to spend too much time on. And yeah, I'm just going to have to keep checking pages, so I'll be right back. Alright, Bear Panda, no, we didn't talk about them. They're making 1/4 scales of Asuka and Rei, which is nice to see. Very traditional figures of them. Looks pretty good so far. Can really only judge the Asuka, but it feels pretty classic for her, which I do like. Reverse Studio had the Thea-chan Apprentice Succubus version. I think I zoomed in a little bit too much there. Seems like it's a 2-in-1 type of figure, like you could take off the dress if you want to see something a little bit sexier. Here is Katja Klein, Danger Dance version from Snowbreak, looking pretty good. I like her outfit, like the dancer pole she comes with. Next up was a figure from Girls Frontline 2. I think this might be the first one in this whole video, of Macchiato, Embroidered Bamboo, Blooming Shadows version. I feel like I've seen this character on social media, like when they're talking about this game, showing off the models, but could be wrong. Here's a figure of Nia, side by side with her artwork. We'll click it and then show the artwork. Has the heterochromia thing going on, enjoying an apple, okay. They're continuing the Mushroom Girl series. This is a very cute design, can't wait to see that in figure form. Solar Rain we already saw earlier. Umikawa, I don't believe we saw anything from them. Seems like a bunch of OC figures, artwork side by side. I guess the theming of these three is like sexy sportswear or training wear, something like that. This one's pretty modest, all things considered. Wouldn't be surprised if these are cast off as well. Astrum Design showed up to this event. They had the Epic 7 Sea Phantom Politis, if I said that right. I think she only looks okay, but it's the hair that's kind of throwing me off right now. The dress sculpting certainly looks nice though, and I like these little creatures, familiars following her. They're probably my favorite part about that figure. And then they're also making another figure from Epic 7 of Dark Tyrant Spectre Tenebria, who I feel like is a little bit more up my alley. Hopefully this figure looks good when they're finally done with it. Ami was at this event, of course. This might have been the first time they actually showed off their Janice figure painted. This cat is so hairy. I was not expecting the cat to look like that. It's kind of distracting me. She's cute, but I don't know about that cat. We also had their Akko, which I believe was painted before. so not a new update. And then they painted their Komuro figure, which I think looks alright. I don't know, something about her face is not capturing like the look of the series, so I think a little disappointing. Anigame was here as well. They had their Fargo, Dairy, and the Dreary Sun version. What does that mean? Is this a cow print bikini on top of like a cowgirl outfit? I guess that would make sense to me. We also had the Owari, My Wish is for Love version. This throne is so big and made of stone, and it's creepy. And she's barely wearing anything. Skeleton hands are acting as a bra. And then there's this photo where she's just spreading completely, which is a little much. I'm gonna move on from that one. Here's a swimsuit figure of Alsace, also from Azur Lane, the Heat Beat Summer Sacrament version. Really nice hair flow on this figure. Really like the volume that they've sculpted, as well as a 1/6 scale figure of U13 from Azur Lane. Not too much to this figure at the moment. Anigift was here with a very spicy figure of Mihara, the bonding chain version. Straight to the wish list, no explanation needed. Jumping over to this page, I think there was some stuff I needed to talk about. Hobby Stock showed off they had this Miku figure, which I'm pretty sure we've seen before. This is the Digital Stars 2024 version, but they also had the announcement for the 2025 version, which is a bit retro inspired. It's very obvious from the design of the sunglasses, the hair clips, there's like these pins on her jacket, the level up text, even holding like a bootleg Game Boy SP, which warms my heart. But the design itself, this is a very cute looking Miku. I love her hairstyle too. Braided and buns, and it breaks off to like the normal style twin tails that she has. And then I guess there'll be some like little dancing cats on the bottom too, if they want to go the extra mile and include everything in this photo. But yeah, a couple of other figures from Hobby Sock. I think we've seen a few of these before. Maybe the Yukino figure was not painted in the past. They had a very simple figure of Hitori in her casual clothes, as well as a figure of Yumi, the sexy nurse version. Alright, back to Mythos, because we missed one hell of a figure earlier, and that's this one here, the Honkai Star Rail Ruan Mei Past Self in the Mirror version. What a concept, so beautifully executed. I even like that they gave her hand a reflection. That's so neat. I hope that actually looks convincing on the final figure. And you have like her hair laid all over it, a little bit messy, right? It's just, I don't know, it's a stunner for sure. I feel like that's one of the more impressive figures at this event. We had the A to Z D full dress version from Nikke, also by Mythos. This one I think is gonna be a banger. The Fairy Tale Another Swan Lake figure. I mean, look at this dress. Look at these little swans on the bottom of it. And she's holding one too. Colors are going to pop so much against the white base of this character design. I think one to look out for sure. I just can't get over that art. We also had the Sunday live version from Honkai Star Rail, as well as the Herta live version, both in the Gift Plus line, so budget figures. Rebos was at the event. They had these two cat girl maids, the Kaide and Suzu 1/6 scales. They also had a new Tea Time cat figure, the Orange Cats. These always look good, so curious to see what that's gonna look like. Some Rise Plus figures from Honkai Star Rail of Dawn as well as Topaz. I think SSR figure was also on this page. Here is Caffeine-chan and Elf Dancer, both the summer versions. These are looking alright. Photo's not that clear though. Some extra announcements from the Idolmaster and Mahjong Soul. So Asakura Toru as well as Higuchi Madoka. Both these office lady figures, which might be a vibe. Curious how these are gonna look. Mega House showed up to this event. They never go to WonFes anymore, but they did show off their Gundam X Miku, Hatsune Miku Wing Gundam figure, and this looks stellar. I love this concept, and I think it's turning out really nicely. Having her have like a baton is such a good choice. This Commander outfit is sick. The hair swoop is really nice. The wings curling in, kind of has a pearlescent paint to it. She's floating above like a couple of instruments and I think some leaves as well. Maybe feathers, kind of hard to tell. And you can't forget the night sky on the coattails. That shit looks ace. Lovely figure, gonna cost way too much money, but a lovely figure for sure. The Gundam train continues. Here is 4 Murasame from Zeta Gundam. Laying down on the bed, the sheets look really nice alongside the shading on her hair. Even the leggings have some nice shading on them too. But this is a complete laying down photo frame figure, which are a little hard to pull off sometimes, and also kind of hard to display. But artistic vision is sometimes more important than mass appeal. Here is a figure of Camille from Zeta Gundam. I don't know if he has another figure from Mega House. This might be his first, I don't know. Actually, this does look familiar. It might be a repaint. Maybe he didn't have the helmet on. I can't remember because I never really looked too hard into that figure, but they're doing something with Camille. Anyway, here is Roxy. They showed the prototype to this like 2 weeks ago, and it's already painted. It's actually a really cute figure of her, with the ice in the water lifting her up as she's flustered, her feet are flailing into the air. The fact that she's even pulling down on her witch hat must mean she is very embarrassed about this, which makes it even cuter. I can't tell if they're trying to make her skin like shiny, as if it was supposed to be wet. That would make sense based off the water down here, but not enough information, not enough photos at the moment. Dark Horse, who I thought was only a comic publisher, is making 3 Berserk Guts figures. Maybe they're collaborating with Mega House or something, but these are all looking very good. They're like 3 different stages in Guts' life, and we can see them here, here, and here. And I gotta say, the art style is like perfect. His face on all 3 of these figures I am very happy with. They look very detailed too. Nothing really lacking in the paint either. I'm very curious on these. I don't know if I'd buy them because I don't need like tons of Berserk stuff, but very impressive showing from Dark Horse of all things. Tri-Eagle Studios is making a 1/4 scale Modernia. This is probably going to cost a lot of money. I don't think her face looks that good. I like the sculpting of her outfit. The colors are fantastic here. The base is really detailed and it's like lifting her up as like a little podium. But I don't know, I feel like the face is a little bit off, which is kind of unfortunate if that is the case. We also had a 1/4 scale of Killer Kira, who I am not familiar with. Very different look from like everything we've seen so far. Hatsu Welkin had some figures. Here is Classic Diva from Goddess of Victory Nikke, not a company I know anything about, but the sculpt's looking nice. Paint on her hair looks really good. Even the puffiness of her jacket is catching my eye. And honestly, the shading on her skin looks pretty damn good too for this unknown company for me. Here is Modernia First Affection lying down, as well as a figure of Cinderella sitting down, adjusting her hair. Okay, pretty simple. Going to jump over to Kotobukiya. Pretty sure they had some more stuff, like this Shion Gothic Lolita outfit version from Hololive. She is comfy. Shoes are off, legs crossed, just chilling. I can't tell what's in her hand, kind of looks like a controller. But yeah, this is very different from her other figure. Feels so much more lavish and intricate. Really like how that one's turning out. And then we also had a figure of Ayame, the Shrine Maiden outfit version, which once again includes a very detailed base, though not as much as the Shion figure. In fact, I feel like this one is holding back a little bit, but she does have some little companions with her. Her swords are leaning against the pillar, which is pretty cool. And I think this is a bit of an outfit change too, but I'm not super familiar with Ayame, unfortunately. Next up was an OC of Valfetto, the swimsuit version, a very cute design. Here is the figure fully painted, pretty much 1-to-1 with the artwork, which is very commendable. She has such an interesting face shape to me. It's very square, very like scrunched in, but I do think it's cute. I feel like we've seen Rukawa-chan before. Here is the artwork, which I've definitely seen before in the past. And then this was announced a few weeks ago, but Little Mermaid is getting a 1/7 scale from Kotobukiya. Anyway, we're getting ready to wrap up. Couple more pages, a few things I want to highlight. Ray's Dream had a few Snowbreak figures, which you could see there and here, as well as this Jiangxi lady from Aether Gazer. But this was their big figure for me, the Alice Doll Wars version from Toho Project. This art style is killer. I need to see this in figure form, because I don't have an Alice figure, and I'm certainly interested in one. And if it looks as cool as this art piece, I might just have to pick this up. But yeah, that was pretty much it for Ray's Dream, an OC, a character from Virtual Real. Gong put up a Cardcaptor Sakura figure wearing the exact same outfit as the one from Proof, so I guess I was completely wrong about that, which is kind of funny. But then we also had Magiart show up at the event with this Mechanics Holiday Girl. Very cool design. I like the suit that's like slightly cybernetic and her little companion down here. Kind of curious if this thing is going to have a face, unless this is supposed to be the face, but it looks like it's looking at her. So this is like its back. I can't really tell though. Next up was a figure of Tsuyomi from Girls Frontline 2. What is the foot down here? Gore of My Comfort character. That's not cool. I feel like we've seen a figure of her kind of similar to this a couple of years ago. but I cannot remember the company that made it. Next up from White Album 2, I've not thought of that series in a while, was Toma Kazusa, reunion version, as well as Ogiso Setsuna from the same series. That's pretty neat. Did not expect to see White Album 2 figures of all things. Here is a new figure of Saya, which is interestingly different from this one. You would think if they wanted to sell something cheaper, they would just repurpose this sculpt, but if you look at her face, you look at her dress, you look at her hair, it's all completely different. So they're just making another figure of her without this, grotesque base, which I guess I'm curious why. Why not just use this one? I think this looks better than this one too, but it's not done yet. Maybe I'll change my mind. Here's a figure from Riddle Story of Devil of Azuma and Ichinose. This is not a fun encounter, though I guess she's not too bothered by it based off her expression. And then we also had a new bunny suit planning figure of Sophia F. Shearing. This is the ninja version, perhaps a more futuristic take on ninjas. I do like her posing though, and the scarf looks pretty cool. I believe next up was Belfine. They had a figure of Kana, the Desert Heaven collaboration figure. Some swimsuit figures of Ilya and Chloe from Prisma Ilya, of course. We also got the 2D version of Bakugo, who I feel like has been in production for a while, but these are all pretty sick. I ain't complaining about that. We had a figure of Yamada Anna, the swimsuit version. I feel like this character does not have enough figures. I thought this was a pretty popular show. Maybe I'm wrong, but regardless, this sculpt's turning out nice so far. The body sculpt's great. Looks like her too, and she's actually placed on the beach, which is important for the beach figures. Here's a figure of Atri from Atri My Dear Moments. This one looks a bit picturesque to me, just because it really looks like a screenshot from the visual novel, just plucked out of the game. Mid-spin, cute pose, looking back at you, hair flowing everywhere, and I'm assuming that's the water from the beach. We also had a figure of Leopard Serious Mode. This one's kind of wild. Very, very expressive, very dynamic. Not hiding too much down there either, or up there really, but yeah, this one looks pretty cool. It's nice to see a figure of Leopard in this wild mode she has when she's all pissed off and trying to get stronger, right? And then we also had some figures of Miyuka and Kana from Bunny Garden. We don't really see a lot of figures of these two. Typically it's Rin, so it's nice to see them spread the love. And then I think our last page, because I can feel my bones withering away, I've been talking for hours, it gets cut down. But I need to take a break. We have the Prisma Wing and Prime 1 Studio page. This figure looks sick. I couldn't tell you if this is art style accurate, but the way everything is curving in on the figure looks really slick. All the explosions and smoke trails, and the girders kind of going towards you and off to the side. Everything's just moving on this figure, and I really like the paints of W as well. Her hair, these antennas and horns have that metallic red, which looks really nice. The pattern on the clothing, very wrinkled too. I think this is a really nice showing from them, considering it's Prisma Wing. But, they mess up all the time. Maybe it'll suck when it actually comes out. We had the Toka figure from Data Live, which is not a new update, actually. I do remember that from last time. A large 1/1 scale of Kurumi. Looks a little creepy, actually, from afar. Did she lose a leg? Is that part of the story? Did a fan just take an opportunity when they saw one? I don't know. Here's a figure of Mahiru from The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. This doesn't really look like her to me. I don't know. I've seen so many figures of her, and this looks really generic. I think the pattern work on the kimono is nice. Colors are vibrant too, but I just don't really see the character in this figure. Here is Amano Erika from a couple of cuckoos very far away. This photo's a bit better. It's just like a cafe style uniform, right? And I think she's about to spill some coffee. I do like the base. That looks like whipped cream maybe, but then there's the macarons or macaroons. I always forget how Americans pronounce it. It's just, I don't know, it's weird, and I don't eat that, so I never hear it out loud. So you tell me. Someone corrected me the last time I said that. And then we had this guy from the case study of Vanitas with his very angry heterochromia-eyed cats. Interesting. Here is the figure from afar. Get the gear base, some butterflies down there, the chess piece, I suppose, in the background, alongside the checkerboard base. Looks alright. And yeah, of course, we had Prime 1 Studio showing off a few statues. I believe Regensburg is already up for pre-order. I saw some people complaining about her face. I guess you guys would know better than me. I'm assuming this is very expensive based off this base that she has and the dragon behind her. But I guess we could talk about that one in the future if you guys are interested. They're also making a Ryza 3 figure where she's cooking up something with the vials and the beakers. I feel like the extra detail they'll give to her clothing will make this one look pretty good, especially if they can like make sure her face is still pretty on the final product. There was a Reika figure from Gantz, very pretty. Doesn't really look like the art, but I would still say it's a pretty face sculpt nonetheless, very sexy body. This is a posable figure of the Evo 1 in the Dynamic Arts line. A lot of detail for something like this. I wonder how much they're going to charge for it, because it looks super slick. I like this metallic sheen they've given it. And next up was a Tanjiro and Nezuko combined statue, just pulling off some moves, looking super cool. And then I believe Gabimaru, who might also already be up for pre-order. I feel like I've seen this one on their website before. And then these are actually model kits from Berserk, which is a pretty cool idea. I think they're like 9,000 yen each or so. Anyway, I think it's about time we wrap this video up. So thank you for watching my WonFes 2025 summer coverage. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like, give me a comment, helps me out immensely, more than you might think. And I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. But yeah, that's about it. I have a ton of editing ahead of me, so I better go do that. Take care, and until next time, I'll see you around. Later.